A very good evening. I bid to all my audience today. We are from Group 7 of Organic Chemistry, January 2021. And today, we'll be presenting about aromatic compounds. The group members of present today are Nur Iza, myself, Cheston, Muhammad Azmil, Devan, and Eza. The contents we'll be going through tonight include definitions and functions of aromatic compounds, the characteristics, the naming of aromatic compounds or benzene, applications of aromatic compounds in daily life, advantages and disadvantages, and finally, innovations. Hope you all will enjoy. And yeah, let's go.
And now let's start off with its definition and functions. So, aromatic compound is any large class of unsaturated chemical compounds characterized by one or more planar rings of atoms joined by covalent bonds of two different kinds. Stability of these compounds is referred to as aromaticity. Although the term aromatic really has something to do with odor, but in today's topic, it is restricted to compounds that have particular electronic, structural, or chemical properties. Aromaticity results from particular bonding arrangements that cause certain pi electrons within bonding arrangements that cause certain that within a molecule to be strongly held. It is often reflected in smaller than expected heats of combustion and hydrogenation and is associated with low reactivity. Now let's look at benzene. Benzene is the best known aromatic compound and the parent to which numerous other aromatic compounds are related. The 6 carbons of benzene are joined in a ring having the planar geometry of regular hexagon in which all of the carbon-carbon bond distances are equal. The 6 electrons circulate in a region above and below the plane of the ring, where each electron being shared by all 6 carbons, which then maximizes the force of attraction between the positive nuclei and the negative electrons. Next. Here are some examples. Yeah. Moving on, let's look at the characteristics of aromatic compounds. Firstly, they have a high percentage of carbon atom. This is analyzed by a sooty yellow flame when it is burnt. And next is the thermal stability is quite high. So it burns stably with less amount of heat. And as we all know, they are cyclic. So they are closed ring of alternating single and double bonds with delocalized electrons. It is unsaturated due to its double bonds, and it prefers substitution instead of addition.
Okay, thank you, Iza. Moving on, it's the section of naming benzene derivatives. Okay, so were you paying attention to Madam's class yesterday? Well, if you were not, or if you were, let us recap on what she has taught yesterday. Okay, before we go into the naming, let me tell you the brief history of benzene. Okay, before that, 99% of all the aromatic compounds that you will learn in organic chemistry are benzene or benzene derivatives. All right. Okay. So in 1825, Michael Faraday, the legendary Michael Faraday, discovered benzene, and he deduced its empirical formula that it's made of carbon and hydrogen atoms. And fast forward to 1834, Ilhad Mezhelit, I don't know how that's the correct way to pronounce it, but he determined that the molecular weight of benzene was 78, and its formula was C6H6. At that time, the molecular formula was known, but not the exact dot structure. So here are several proposals for the structure of benzene. You can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then fast forward to 1865. This is where things really start to happen. So this guy, his name is Auguste Kekule, he came up with his winning dot structure of benzene in his dreams. Basically, in his dreams, he saw two snakes biting each other, and they were like fighting, and they whirled into a circle, as you can see in the picture. So that inspired him to come up with this model, this structure model for benzene. And through his innovation, organic chemists were able to make thousands of derivatives of benzene for industrial, medical, and other uses. His discovery was so important that its 25th anniversary was celebrated in great style in 1890 by the German Chemical Society. This is a stamp. Okay. And then finally in 1930, the chemical structures of benzene was established. Okay, let's go. Naming the common benzene derivatives. Okay, benzene is basically a hexene, a cyclohexene, all right? So the six hydrogen atoms. But it can also be known in its resonance form. Let me draw for you. Okay, so for this resonance, basically this double bond will transfer to here, this double bond will transfer to here, and this will come here, right? And then we'll form this. These are the resonance structures, basically. And then as you can see down here, this one, the double bonds have already been localized. The pi electrons have been delocalized inside of the structure. So the electrons are now moving freely inside this circle. Basically, this is a lazy way to draw the benzene structure. And it is named as the Robinson circle, after the great synthetic organic chemist, Sir Robert Robinson. This is the basic form of benzene, okay? Right. So there are three types of benzene derivatives that we can categorize them into. The first is mono-substituted, di-substituted, which is 2, and then poly-substituted, which is more than 2. Okay, first of all, this is the most common mono-substituted benzene. It is a benzene structure with an added methyl group. Okay, we can call this, you can name this in the simplest way, it's a methyl benzene, but it's more commonly known as toluene. Okay, next. Here we have a benzene structure that is connected to a hydrocarbon chain of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 is called heptene, right? So if we number the carbon atoms, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, we can name this as a 4. Oh wait, before I go that, sorry. When a benzene structure is attached to a hydrocarbon chain that has more than 6 carbon atoms, the benzene no longer becomes the main component, right? The main component of the structure. So now when it's attached to more than 6 hydrocarbon with more than 6 carbon atoms, the benzene will be known as a substituent or phenyl group. All right. So in this case, we can name it as the 4-phenylheptane. Moving on, here are some very common monosubstituted benzene structures. The first one we have, this one is attached, is a hydroxyl group, and its name is a phenol. Number 2 is attached to it is a NH2 group, and its name is aniline. And number 3 here we can see that it's a carboxyl group. All right, carboxyl as a carboxylic group attached to it. But to name these, you just have to maintain the first few letters, which is benz, B-N-Z, and then carboxylic, so it's a benzoic acid. And then for this one, it's a aldehyde attached to it. So it's the same as just now, the benz maintains, and then it says benzaldehyde. Okay, benzaldehyde is also popular for smelling like almonds. Moving on, we have the di-substituted benzene. All right. When there are 2 methyl groups, as you can see here, 2 methyl groups attached to a benzene structure. See here is all also attached. We can name this as ethylene. All right. Ethylene pula. Xylene. Spell it out. I don't have a pen, so I'm using my mouse. Okay, so xylene. But how do we differentiate this type of xylene, and this? So we can use the OMP rule. Not rule, but it's the prefix of OMP. Okay, so if the two methyl groups are right next to each other in a benzene structure, you can use the prefix of ortho or O. And if there's one gap between the two methyl groups, we can use the prefix of meta or M. And when the methyl groups are parallel to each other, means on opposite ends, it can be like this or like this or like this. We can use the prefix of para. So in this case, we can either use the normal one. Okay, let's say we number this as 1, 2, 3, and so on. We can name this as 1,2-dimethylbenzene or orthoxylene. All right, same goes for this. If we number this as 1, 2, 3, this would be 1,3-dimethylbenzene or methaxylene. Okay, you can also use O. You can short form this ortho into O-xylene, this one into M-xylene or P-xylene. Okay, that's the short form. Here's another common example for disubstituted benzene. We have here. So how do we name this? Okay, first we have to identify the monosubstituted parent name, which is this benzene attached to an alcohol. Not alcohol, sorry. Yeah, alcohol. So we call this as phenol. Okay, then only we add in the name of the substituent. So over here we have a bromo, sorry. Okay, then if we number this, we always number what makes it a phenol is the OH, right? So we number that first as 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so here are several different names you can use. If we're using the numbers, you can use 4-bromophenol, or if we're using the OMP rule just now, the prefix is para-bromophenol or P-bromophenol. And then here we have another one. So like as before, first you determine the monosubstituted parent group, which is this. Okay, this is a benzoic acid. Okay, and then here attached is a nitro group. So if we number this again, 1, 2, 3, we can name this as 3-nitrobenzoic acid, or if you're using the prefixes, there's a gap between this, right? There's a gap between this. So we can name this as meta-nitrobenzoic acid or M-nitrobenzoic acid. Okay, finally, we have the polysubstituted benzene. Okay, the first example I'm going to give is a very famous polysubstituted benzene structure. Okay, same as before, we identify the main one, which is this. Here we have, sorry, this is included. Here we have a benzaldehyde and 2 substituents attached to it. All right, so we first number this carbon, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, and then we determine this one. This is a methoxy group. Okay, call it methoxy. Write it. Okay, methoxy, and then this one is a hydroxyl group, basically. Hydroxy. So how do we name this? We first name the substituents, which are the H comes first, right? So 4-hydroxy, 3-methoxy benzaldehyde. And this component is also known as vanillin, which is popular for smelling like vanilla. And the last example, which is probably the most exciting one. Okay, just identify the main one, which is benzene plus CH3, which means it's a toluene. And attached to it, there are 3 nitro groups. Okay, if you can guess it already, you have to number it. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Draw it, 5 and 6. So if it's normal naming it, we can we name the substituent first. So we can either use 2,4,6. All right, so 2,4,6 nitro 2,4,6 trinitrotoluene. And this is also known as your TNT, which is the main component of explosives used today. All right, so that's all for naming the benzene and benzene derivatives. Hopefully, this will give you a not clearer view, but a reminder as for what Madam has taught yesterday. And there's a lot of things to memorize, especially for the monosubstituted benzene part, as like the toluene, right? Aniline. It's a lot of things to memorize, but you just have to do it. Okay. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you. Moving on.
Okay, so next we will look at the application of aromatic compounds in daily life. You all must be wondering like, why are we learning about this and don't even know what is the function in our daily life? So the first one is for the food packaging. Basically in Malaysia, we only use the box carton, right? So in other country, they usually keep the egg in a polystyrene carton. Okay, so it is derived from ethyl benzene and it is protecting the egg against breaking and spilling, obviously. But also it provides a layer of insulation that protects against freezer burn, which means that it can help to control the temperature. Okay, so next is for the clothing. As you know that we have the new fibers created and it is based on the inputs of aromatic industry. For example, the acrylic fibers, polyester, and nylon. Besides that, new textiles are also used in furniture, in carpets, bed sheets, blankets, in curtains, mattresses, and pillows. Next, we move on to health, which is aspirin. Aspirin is used to reduce fever and relieve mild to moderate pain from conditions. For example, as you know that aspirin is formed from cumin and phenol, which is produced from benzene, are used as starting material to make aspirin and penicillin. That is one of the commonly used in medical field. Next, okay. Next is automotive. As you know that the synthetic rubbers that derive from aromatics give tires better road hugging ability, especially on wet roads and also increase tire mileage. This is important to keep the safety. The aromatic derived products are the key to meeting the demands of modern motorists who want high-performance cars, improved reliability and safety, style, competitive precision, increasingly reassurance about environmental impact. Next, we move on to construction. Expanded polystyrene, or known as EPS, is produced from benzene or styrene. It has been a well-performing and sustainable insulating material for over 40 years and used to thermally and acoustically insulate walls, roof, or floor in all types of building. So basically, this EPS is used by civil engineers as a lightweight fill or void-forming material. So the last one is electronics. As we know that we usually use compact discs and it is made of the most common petrochemical-based product. Most of the CDs consist of injection molded piece of clear polycarbonate, which is a plastic derived from benzene through bisphenol A and cumin. That is all from me. Move on to David.
Okay. So every compounds there will be advantage and disadvantage. So let's now see what is the advantages of aromatic compounds. Okay, first, aromatic compounds can make the molecules extremely stable and it can react with a variety of reagents. So this also makes the useful solvent for non-polar organic compounds. So for the second advantage, in industry mainly, aromatic compounds like benzene, which is 1,4-dimethylbenzene, be a starting materials for compounds such as styrene, phenol, aniline, polyesters, and nylon. So let's see an example that provided in the slide. which is benzene is the base chemical for many of the modern day plastics, including nylon and polycarbonate among others. It holds an important position in the polycarbonate manufacturing business, and without it, we will not have epoxy or benzene is also used to make some types of lubricants, rubbers, dyes, detergents, drugs, and pesticides too. Okay. So aromatic compounds also play an important role in biochemistry of all living things such as amino acid firstly, which is building blocks of protein. So such they are histidine, phenylalanine, pterine, and tryptophan. So the secondary is nucleotides, which is the make up the sequences of a genetic code as mainly known as DNA and RNA, which is adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, and uracil, which have aromatic rings, which contribute to the stability of DNA and RNA. Lastly is heme, which contains a ring system with 22 pi electrons, and by occurs 4n plus 2 rule, it is aromatic because it is n equals to 5. Next, let's see to disadvantages of aromatic compounds. Okay, so as usual, every compound has disadvantages too. So firstly, we can see that long-term exposure to an aromatic compounds, we choose an example like benzene, can cause harmful effects on the bone marrow and can cause cancer in humans, can cause leukemia, which is cancer of the blood-forming organs. It also can cause a decrease in red blood cell, which leading to anemia, can affect the immune system, which increasing the chance for infection, affects the developing fetus in the pregnant woman or fertility in men. So aromatic compounds is also highly flammable and as suspected carcinogen when it's in gaseous form. So breathing in high doses of aromatic compounds can affect the nervous system, which can lead to drowsiness, dizziness, headaches, tremors, confusion, and unconsciousness. So when consuming the aromatic compounds, foods or fluids contaminated with high level of aromatic compounds can cause vomiting, stomach irritation, dizziness, sleepiness, convulsions, and rapid heart rate. So exposure to aromatic compounds as benzene liquid or vapor can irritate the skin, eyes, and throat. Skin exposure to benzene can result in redness and blisters. So next, following to Azmir.
Okay, so hello. I will be presenting about innovation, brands, and companies that innovate the products. Okay. Since aromatic compounds are made up of hydrocarbon, so the world has taken it into a higher level of innovation. Aromatic compounds such as benzene, xylene, and toluene are examples of mainly base refinery substances from crude oil. Okay, since before 1995, lead or plumbum has served in purpose inside the gasoline which we always use to fill our tank. Okay, as we know that plumbum is not good inside our petroleum gasoline, then people start to innovate about the aromatic compound, which they believe that aromatic compound can achieve octane rating in more efficient way, which can help in gasoline combustion and produce less pollution. So many big companies that supply gasoline such as Shell, Petronas, ExxonMobil and else have used aromatic compounds in their petroleum products. However, 20 years after that, humans start to believe that actually aromatic compounds doesn't bring any benefit to reduce the pollution, because they assume that actually aromatic compounds is the new lead, is the new plumbum. Okay, next. Okay, the next innovation is paint. Since we know that paints we use to decorate our wall, fence and door because it is insoluble to water, so people start to use aromatic compound to innovate paint. Paint is petroleum based. As we know, most of the organic compound is insoluble in water, so it is the main reason why paint is made up of aromatic compounds. As we know, paints, whether it's spray paint, wall paint, or wood polish, they all have a distinct and strong scent, which some of us love to smell. Next. Some famous brands and companies that supply paints are Nippon Paint, Sankora, and Dulux. Okay, even though some people might love to smell the paints, unfortunately, exposure to the aromatic compounds for too long might cause nausea, dizziness, eyes, nose, and throat irritation, and may also lead to lung damage, which can cause severe damage to your respiratory system, as stated by Devon just now. Okay, thank you.
So we have come to an end to our live session. Thank you everyone for listening, and hoping you all are staying safe and have a good day.